Whoa. So I've just listened to Raw on the 2027 mutation, at least one of the things that he recorded. And some of it I had gathered from other things I've heard him say, and some of it was brand new. So it was kind of exciting for me. We know it's the 55 and the 49 are the two gates that are mutating in the solar plexus. And apparently the chemistry of them is almost identical. They're both the histidine codon. The 55 brings the new, the 59, not the 49, ends what is old. So one of the things is that the prostate is mutating. And what's going on is, we have these problems, men, not we, not you and I, Lily, but men who have prostates. There's so much more problems with prostates than there used to be. And it's actually a part of this whole mutation. Um, when autism and a lot of what we look at as Asperger's and all of those things, which are in a sense the precursors to the rave, are coming from these mutated prostates before the mutation has actually taken place. So in order for the 55 to mutate, and it is connected to the prostate, it creates a specific chemistry in the form, and it's really extraordinary. And what it's doing is placing us outside of the mammalian context. The raves are actually not considered mammals. And so there's a lot of things that go along with that, which I'm going to go into in a sec. So the relationship between the 55 and the 59, because they're opposite in the wheel, um, is part of that because it has to do with the sexuality and with the mutation. And then the 39 is so important at this point because it's the initiator, it's the provoker that kind of activates the spirit specifically of that 59. And whenever there's a gate in the root going toward the solar plexus, what it's trying to do is fix the wave. It's trying to stop it. It's trying to hold it. And what the 39 wants is that the 55 stop being fickle. Now, the mutation is going to take hundreds of years, and it will change the way the energy flows in the raves, but humans will still be around. Um, Once the wave is fixed, there's going to be just such an incredible difference in what there is. There's not going to be this volatility. Um, One of the things, well, let me know, I'm not going to go there first. So the first impact of the mutated 55 is on the 59, its opposite gate, and the genetic roles in sex and sex and interaction, intimacy. So it's going to become sanitized, sterilized. The raves are going to be sterile as far as I know. The very roll gate of the 59, which is the roll gate of how we connect intimately, is transformed, and the whole system transformed via those who are born with the mutated gates.
And the
So one of the, huh?
mutated gates are the 49 and the
And the
55.
55, and they're mutating that whole system. One of the things it brings is the death of desire. So the potential for awakening the solar plexus is when the six wakes up. The six is the mother, the originator of all the waves. It's mirrored, by the way, by the 50 in the spleen, which is holds the judgment, intuition, and instinct of those streams that come out of the spleen. Uh, the 36 is the partner gate to the six, opposite in the wheel, and it is the archetype of unawareness driven by desire. So it comes up from the 41 to the 30 to the 36, and that's that stream of desire. and of the experiential way. That stream is not mutating. The 30 is not mutating like the 55 and the 49 are. Um, that 36 is ready to penetrate experience. It's the most sexual gate. The abstract stream is not mutating, so the 36 is left out of that mutative process. But in the rave, there's an elimination of desire in bonding, and a new type of intimacy is actually going to be emerging. So the 6 must mutate to, to get the rest of the whole system working. And the 6 cuts off the wave, and the community no longer needs to operate with bargains. That's another really fascinating thing, because bargains have been put in place because the ego, the 40, wants to fix the wave. All the gates that are pointed toward the emotional system are trying to stop it doing that shit. And so the bargain is instilled by the ego, who says, if you want to be in a relationship with me, you have to overcome your wave and stick to the bargain. Of course, the wave is more powerful than the bargain, but those who have that channel do tend to stick to their bargains. But once the wave is no longer what the solar plexus is about, the bargain is no longer needed. So that whole tribal imperative that's been with us since the beginning is absolutely changing. The dilemma is that this has only been in place in the body graph to work out agreements with the other. The bargain has been gender-based before 1791. After 1791, with the discovery of Uranus and the coming forth of the nine-centered, the gender archetypes already started breaking down. Before that, it was this, women did this and men did that. Women took care of the castle and men went out and fought dragons, period. There were not women fighting dragons and men taking care of the babies and cooking the food. It just was a very gender-based. And since the nine-centereds came in, that has started breaking down, and we can certainly see it's broken at this time. The moment the wave is gone, the bargain is gone, family, social, and community are then breaking down. We can see this in prenups and the legal agreements and all these things that people are doing, because there just is no more inherent bargain. Mommy does this, daddy does that, and that keeps it together. That doesn't keep it together anymore. Thank goodness. Again, you only need the bargain when there is a wave. The future of bonding eliminates the bargain. The community can then meet one another without the pressure of the bargain or the fickleness of the wave. Emotional authority, no longer needs to wait for emotional clarity. What is that? Yeah, we cannot fathom that. Yeah, we don't understand that. Not everyone born after 2027 will carry the mutation. Those who do will no longer have to live out the wave as an authority. The other thing that was produced in 1791 was that we nine-centereds have warmer bodies, because then the mutation can happen in the body, and heat is the necessary ingredient for mutation, and global warming is necessary for the mutation as well. It's just part of the whole story. Also, mutation thrives on diversity. So one of the things we've seen since, again, that time is a diversity in food. We can get food from all over the world. An expansion of possibilities. People can do things that were never even dreamt of before. It was so very much, if your dad was a cobbler, you were a cobbler. That was just what was. And then now we don't even hardly relate to that idea. I certainly don't. Um, so one of the things that, oh, the tribe, so a lot of this business is the tribe really shifting with that bargain breaking down. The tribe has always had to be open to the individual because for the genetic imperative to make strong babies, you have to have new gene pools coming in. But neither the tribe nor the individual is very accepting of the collective. The collective is kind of just in their own world in a sense. Um, One of the things that must happen for the whole of this mutation to reach humanity is it must go through the 360, the channel 60 to the 3. The 60 is the genetic library, and it has the capacity to move the junk DNA out. The mutation goes from the 60 to the 3. And then, of course, the 3 is that um, difficulty at the beginning. So it has to like work its way in, work its way in, work its way into humanity. And in fact, the 3 is not considered a roll gate, but I don't know if you remember, Lily, but at one point I brought in the 3 and used it like a roll gate, like when you are having difficulty, like the fates have intervened and now
Mhm.
you're having difficulty at the beginning of what the fates have brought you to. You can look at the gates in the third, look at the lines in the third gate to see how you are designed to deal with that difficulty in the beginning. So I, for example, as a 3-5 would look at the 3.3. You'd look at the 3.2 as a
Mhm.
2-4. Yeah. Um, the mutation goes from the 63 to the 59-6, where the bonding comes forth, and thence to the 37-40 to maintain that bond. All aspects of non-reproductive pleasures are in the 37-40. Once mutated, not only is intimacy transformed, but who we can be actually deep with is transformed. Humans are designed to be deep with the opposite gender. This is over. A different social agenda emerges, not about gender or sex or reproduction, but about social intimacy. So then we can look at, hold on, Dee wants to come in. I just want to tell them what we're doing here. I don't want to leave them hanging.
Hi.
Hi, I've just been going, I think said one of the things I'm going into the 2027 bit now, so I'm not going to talk too much. I want to get through my stuff, but I've been talking a lot about how the gender roles are pretty much going non-existent with this whole mutation that's the 2027 business. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you're, in fact, I was thinking about you today because you are someone who is bringing that awareness and also helping people to understand themselves and understand other people within that context and how important that is at this time. So thank you. Okay, one of the things that we know about the 55 and the 39-55, it has food issues. This will be fixed when there is not a fickle wave going on, but it has to discover what it likes and make that the dominant aspect of its diet. Because then that the 40, again, that's losing its bargain, its stomach can be nourished because the stomach is in the gate 40. So this mutation is coincidental with a major shift in diet. And one of the things I didn't hear Ross say it in this one that I just listened to, but have heard him say that the rays will actually have no ability to um, digest like red meat at all. And, we've seen since I'm going to say the 60s, 70s, people stopping eating red meat. At first it was like weirdos didn't, but now it's kind of almost weirdos still do eat red meat. It's become so much more the norm that we can look back and see these progressions and how this has been happening for quite a long time. So much of our eating is connected to wave patterns and the burning of the emotional system. The type and the amount of food taken in has so much to do with, am I up on my wave? Am I down on my wave? Am I full? Am I empty? Am I uncomfortable with food? Am I uncomfortable with being full? Am I uncomfortable with being empty? And let me use food for all of those. So food itself is an essential key to the mutation. And again, um, on the one hand, finding the foods that really work, so PHS is so essential in this at this point, but also just that diversity of food helps to bring the mutation. Because when, in the past, tribes would all eat the same food. And it's not easy to mutate something when it's kind of ingrown like that. So having people eat this wide diversity of food actually makes us all more available and open to this whole mutated business. We might look at the raves and think they have really odd food tastes. They'll want things and reject things that we don't relate to. So on the 1949, the 19 is eliminated. It breaks off and it's going to function differently. All mammals have the 19 with its potential to connect with humans via the 49. This is such a transformation because the raves are no longer mammalian based. So radically different. I don't even comprehend that. Like I'm saying those words, but what does that mean? We will no longer need the butcher. And, Ra is really fond of calling humans killer monkeys. Like we have instincts. You know, if you um, if you try to harm my daughter, I will kill you. There's a killer instinct in humans that can be brought out, but it's mammalian. So if these raves are not mammalian based, they won't have that. So what does the butcher become when it's no longer in competition with animals for food? There's no more killing. The raves won't kill humans. Like apparently the last massive mutation we had akin to this one was when Neanderthal became Cro-Magnon. It was like 85,000 years ago or something. I don't know if that's correct. That's what came out of me, but I don't know if that's correct in terms of an accurate detail. Um, that mutation happened in the gate 12, and it was the actual dropping of the larynx of the voice box because Neanderthals, they did these sign languages and Cro-Magnon spoke. That's a massive transformation. Imagine what happens in a brain, even what happens in a body and the thyroid and just the whole thing. But the Cro-Magnons were killer monkeys, so they didn't like these Neanderthals that they didn't understand. They probably thought they were just beasts of some sort, and they killed them off. But the raves won't do that to the humans because they don't have the killer instinct. They're not in competition. They're not carrying the mammalian fears. They're not animals. They won't feel the need to control territory to assure food, shelter, community. How are they going to live? I don't know. The nine centereds, we are not going away. And the vast majority of us continue to live out our desires. It'll be many hundreds of years before the raves have enough population to actually be um, more of the population than humans, though we are dying out. We're not on the ascendancy anymore. That's my notes.
Wow, good notes.
Thank you. It was very exciting. I listen to Raw and then just write down things and then I transcribe my notes. So I actually thought it was very fascinating. One of the things we were saying, Dee, is about the prostate and that the mutated prostate is what's going to bring the raves. And that
Mm,
a lot of what we consider neurodiversity and autism and Asperger's are coming out of um, prostates that are in the midst of mutation, but haven't like got to whatever they're going to be. The other thing I've heard Ross say is that people, if one of your like parents or grandparents or great grandparents was born between 1941 and 1946, there was something, and I can't remember, it's like the camel or the dog or something or other was incarnated. And so there was some different thing happening on the planet. And if one of your upline genetically was born at that time, those are the people who specifically have the genetics to bring forth raves and all
mm.
who may be bringing forth neurodivergence at this time.
You said 1941 to 1946.
46, yeah, a 5-year period. Are your any of your uplines there?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't actually recall their birthdays, but I'm gonna look. I'm gonna
yeah,
check.
yeah. Another friend of mine who's worked a lot with neurodivergence, Martina, her father, I think, was born in that arena. So that's my little bit on 2027. Do either of you have anything that it brought out for you or any
Oh,
questions?
my grandpa for sure.
There you go.
I just did the math. I was like, oh, they have to be at least 40, 84. So
Uh-huh.
definitely my grandpa was
Uh-huh.
born right in that window because he's
There we go.
85.
There we go.
Or I think he's 84, about to be 85. Yeah. So
Yeah. So love it when it works. So Lily, did anything come up for you that you want to, or do
Oh,
you remember anything else you might want to add?
what is it the Y chromosome? That's male.
I think so.
Whatever the male chromosome is, I just read on on a headline about their discovering the disappearance of the Y chromosome. Like
Maybe
it's
it's mutating. It doesn't seem like it could disappear because if we only had X's, wouldn't we just start cloning?
Yeah, it from what little I read, because it was this actually was it this morning or last night, but it and I might try to find it again since we're speaking of this. It said that they don't know what's going to take its place.
Ah, so
And they're
they're
not saying
actually
it's gone.
seeing, so the
Yeah,
genetics are seeing that some chromosome is shifting. I doubt it would be like gone and nothing would take its place.
that
But
wasn't
that's cool.
what it
That's
was. I
cool.
know, I just saw that. So I'd like to find that again because it's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Uh, I think we're watching hints of like with autism and the prostate and um, lower birth and the different ways of bonding. And we see all that coming and happening in bits and pieces now. And this may not be relevant at all, but I've always thought, what were the shift and changes up to the nine-centered being? There was had to be
Yeah.
something going on there.
Yeah.
And um
What were people seeing if they had the eyes to see?
and I don't know if this is correct, and anybody who might be watching this could um correct it if it needs it, is in the Bible on Revelations. This is one of the things, I'm not a big Bible person as far as knowing it, but the one thing that stood out in Revelations is that there'll be a time of darkness, and that eventually they put down the sword and pick up the plowshare as a symbolic, like no more war. And for about 1,000 years, there will be this peace. There will be this peace. And if the next cycle with 2027 is about 400 years, right? If I understand correctly, and the voice, if I remember correctly, said we have about 1,400 years left on Earth, Earth itself. So that would be that time frame,
Yeah.
400 years.
Yeah. And the raves are not going to be interested in killing.
Right.
How fascinating.
Yeah. So, I believe that ancient sciences has, or the ancient books have threads of awareness and truth in them that maybe we don't see or have allowed to look at differently. So that's what brought up for me listening to this right now.
Interesting. Yeah, I know nothing really Bible oriented, but the other day I told you, Lily, Dee, the song The Age of Aquarius. For some reason it was in my head the other day and I suddenly listened to the words I was singing. It was about the crystal revelation and the mind's true liberation. And I'm like, Ra gave us the crystal revelation, the design crystal, the personality crystal, and it's a way to liberate our minds from making decisions. I'm like, that's cool. I like it. So I'm going to stop the recording unless we have something more, because that's one thing I want to do when we do these bits and pieces is stop when we're done instead of just meandering about with it. So anyone else on any um, specific 2027 business?
No, not.
Okay. This is me being Tiera. This is Lily Lash and Diez Hura. What name is the best name to use for you, Dee? Diez Hura. Okay.